This is Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details. Here are your hosts, Joe, Matt, and Chris.
The Atlanta Falcons pay Kirk Cousins fuck tons of money and then turn right around and draft Michael Penix in the draft. Matt liked it because it gave the guy a chance to sit. I hated it, not so much because I don't like Michael Penix, but more because why the fuck do you pay Kirk Cousins that much money if you're going to draft a quarterback in the top 10 picks? Doesn't make any fucking sense to me. But Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles injury, we're like, you know what? That's a great offense. All those weapons, they're all going to shine. You know, you got Bijan, you got Drake London, you got Kyle Pitts, you got all this plethora of talent, and yet Kirk Cousins looks absolutely fucking washed. Like he just came out of the washing machine. You hung him out to dry on a clothesline, letting him fucking hang out there in the wind, just water dripping off him, all wet and ragdolly. Okay, that's how he looks out there right now. And let me put this into perspective for you. Right, I went back to 2022, the last year he actually played a full fucking season. Right, and I looked at his numbers. The deep ball is not there this year, people. It is fallen off. Passes over 20 yards plus. He averages in 2022 46% completion percentage. Right now, he's at 39. Okay? That tells you that the completion percentage is down almost, what is that? 7%. Yards per attempt down 5.5 yards. The guy doesn't have the deep ball anymore. And it was one of the things that made Kirk Cousins very, very good. And what we thought would make this offense even better was they finally got a guy who could throw a deep ball pretty accurately, pretty well, and score some touchdowns. And it's not there. Is that the Achilles injury? Does he not have the trust in his legs to get underneath the ball and put it out there? Who knows? But right now, Matt, you know, he looks absolutely washed, but you know what? I'm not going to Matt first on this one. I'm not, because I know Matt wants to get on it. I got his ass too. He was ready to go. I'm smiling, ready to line it up. I'm going
you
to
put me in the mix on that one. I was not ready to go, and then I was ready to go, and then you have me not ready to go again. So you put me in the blender on that.
Thanks for that.
Dude, so happy for it. So happy for it. But Chris, I'm going to go to you on this one. Is Kirk Cousins straight up washed?
Ooh, I think that is a double-edged sword, to be honest with you. So first of all, can we just agree now at this point that this should be a lesson learned, I think, for majority of leagues when it comes to overpaying old quarterbacks to come over and take you to the promised land that you so expect them to do. Now let's remember that a 36-year-old Kirk Cousins, nobody had a clue as to what he was going to be. He's coming off of a hell of an injury. He's still in remission, and you're paying this man basically for 4 years and at $100 million guaranteed. Not, if you do this, if you do that. No, guaranteed money, and you don't even know what you're buying. That is a terrible decision to begin with. So owners, please beware. Don't go that route. Now, as far as we're talking about the question, as far as Kirk Cousins being washed, where I'm at, I don't feel like I'm at that point yet where I feel like he's completely washed. I feel like he is struggling at the moment. Obviously, it's been kind of told around the world in the last couple of days, that he hasn't had a touchdown in the last 3 games. So that's 2 prior to their bye, and now coming off the bye is absolutely another one where there's absolutely none of his, he's not getting the touchdowns. So my biggest concern right now is one of those that you just mentioned, but my very first one is going to be how they're handling the third down options. Because if you're looking at their third downs and how they're using the clock and how they're playing it, from my understanding, they are at the bottom part of the league when it comes to converting third downs. That's where you're finding a lot of the time where they're having to settle for field goals. So that's why you're not seeing touchdowns right now, is because you're seeing a ton of field goals because their third down percentage is abysmal. That's their fucking problem right now. I'm not putting it all on Kirk Cousins whatsoever. Now, is he part of the reason? Absolutely, he's part of the reason. Biggest reason because he can't throw that damn ball downfield. So if you go back, and it's something I looked at in particular this morning. So just to put an example for you. So first drive against the Chargers, okay? Short passes and running is pretty much what most of the first downs was, right? That's where you got most of your first downs. You have 1 third down option. The first one that he throws down the field, hits the ground. Your wide receiver has to go dive to try to catch it, ends up being an incomplete pass. What do you fall for? You go for a field goal. And that just seems to be the commonality of what is happening with this team right now. Now you're expecting as a new head coach that you're bringing in the guy, right? Now why you went and got a guy in the draft, I won't ever understand that situation whatsoever. But we're neither here nor there. But you go in as a new head coach and you're expecting this guy to take you to the promised lands. But again, you're getting something and you're buying something that you don't know what you have. You're expecting him to be a 2000 or 2021 type of quarterback, and that's not what you're getting right now. But what I will say in his defense is, from what I'm looking at, he is still top 5 in passing yards. He is still considered top 12 in passing touchdowns, and the Falcons technically are still top 10 in average yards per game. So it's not that they're not moving the ball. And yes, he has a ton of talent. I don't care what anybody says. I am a fan of the tight end. I don't care what anybody has said about it. He unfortunately has had some bad luck when it comes to quarterbacks, okay? But I am with this tight end. You have a number 1 wide receiver. You have a number 1 running back. You have everything there. But this was the exact reason coming into the 2024 season was my exact reason for not being able to go by what we're looking at on paper. I could not do it. I've had this conversation. Pretty sure we had this conversation. I've had this conversation with several other people when it came to what to expect from this specific group in 2024. And it always fell to, I don't believe it on paper. I absolutely do not believe it on paper because you don't know what you're getting from Kirk Cousins at all. And it is exactly where it is at right now. Now, given they're still 6-6 and they're battling, but who they're battling with, I feel, is battling a little bit harder than they are. And that being the Tampa Bay Bucks right now are definitely finding their own, and is definitely going to give them a run for their money towards the end of the season. Who I kind of almost expect to take that crown. But as far as not Peyton, why did I say Peyton Manning? When I got
he was washed
right,
at the end too. That's why.
Maybe, maybe. But where I'm at with Kirk Cousins is I don't feel he's a full wash. I haven't put him in that same regard as a Dak Prescott, who I feel was already kind of washing before he got hurt. Deshaun Watson, I feel like he's done. And then we'll get to the overhill Aaron Rodgers as well. So I haven't put him in that category just yet because his stats are still fairly good compared to the rest of the NFL. But I do feel like he is very close to kind of being tackling to getting under the water for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a really good point. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, they're pretty much the same guy. Came from the NFC North, tore an Achilles, looks washed as shit right now. And clearly right now, Chris thinks that Kirk Cousins is more on like that pre-soak. You put the washer on him, you got some stains and shit you're trying to get. That's where Kirk Cousins is in Chris's book right now. I'm kind of like, you just pulled him out of the washer and the spin cycle didn't get him all the way ringed out and he's just soggy and shit. So you got to like hang him up for a little while. That's what Kirk Cousins is to me. But Matt, what is Kirk Cousins to you? Is Kirk Cousins washed?
Well, to me, to build on the obvious laundry analogy we have going here, Chris is kind of like pre-wash. You're kind of like he's in the after wash. He's like drying. That's how washed he is. I'm like he's in the washer right now. He's in the process of being washed. He's not like officially washed, but we're watching the washedness of Kirk Cousins right now. And to Chris's point, like you look at the numbers, like they don't look terrible. I mean, like Chris mentioned, 5th in yards, 7th in yards per attempt, 10th in touchdowns, 12th in completion percentage. And you look at his numbers, other than his interceptions, they're all not too far off from his career averages, but he leads the league in interceptions right now. A 4 interception game on Sunday obviously doesn't help, and 6 interceptions in the last 3 games obviously doesn't help, but he leads the league in picks. He's 20th in QBR, and he's 18th in quarterback rating. So again, to my theme from a previous segment that we did, there's some numbers for you. He doesn't look great. And then as far as watching the games, if you watch the football game on Sunday between the Falcons and the Chargers, he's not mobile. to your point about deep balls, Joe, his arm looks weak and he makes terrible decisions right now. Everyone else on his team on Sunday balled out. Okay. The defense only allowed 1 touchdown and the offense got their only touchdown. The Falcons offense, that is, got it on a short field because the Chargers fumbled. Okay. And then Kirk single-handedly on Sunday, that game on Sunday, Kirk Cousins single-handedly lost them that game with 2 of the worst interceptions I have seen all season. This dude, I don't know if you saw the pick 6. This dude threw a lollipop of an out route on that to Darnell Mooney on an out route. And it was like literally the DB was sitting there just like, did you actually just throw this to me? Like, thank you for the touchdown. Like he literally just threw a little lollipop out there for him to pick 6. It was one of the worst throws I've ever seen. And then sure enough, the next interception after that, it's 3rd and goal. It's 3rd and goal from the 13-yard line. You have 3 points on the board right there. That's 3 points that you will have. And it's 3rd and goal from the 13. You're probably not going to score there. Sure enough, Kirk Cousins steps up in the pocket, throws a jump shot that 3 Chargers. I can't even tell you how many times I watched that play. I was like, I'm trying to stand up for you, Kirk. I'm trying to see what you saw. Like, what did you see? All I saw was 3 Chargers in the area, and he just throws it right to him. Like, I don't know what he could have possibly been thinking at that point. And we haven't seen stuff like that from Kirk Cousins in previous years, so he's just making decisions right now that I've never seen him make. And you see him in the pocket too. Like I mentioned, his lack of mobility, it's probably because of the Achilles, but he also wasn't like the most mobile before the Achilles. Now he just stands in the pocket. He don't move. He's a statue. If his first read's not there, he's getting sacked. Like, that's just what's going to happen, so right now with Kirk Cousins, it just doesn't look good. And he's costing them games right now. It's not good. But to the point about the contract, Chris, I will get back to this point because me and Joe had this discussion before. I don't think the contract was that bad of an idea, and I don't think the Michael Penix pick was a bad idea either. And the reason for that is right now Kirk Cousins is tied for the 12th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Now listen, 4 years for 180 sounds huge, but when you look at the quarterback contracts above that, you're thinking, okay, it's not that bad. Because again, there's 12 guys or 11 guys who are higher paid quarterbacks than him right now. So his contract's not crazy. And then also, it's basically a 2-year deal. There's an opt-out after year 2, and then year 3, there will be $25 million of dead cap against their 2026 cap if they cut him. So it's basically a 2-year deal. So it's not that bad. And then comparable contracts, Derek Carr got 4 years for 150. Daniel Jones got 4 for 160, and then Matt Stafford got 4 for 160 as well. So is the Kirk Cousins contract great right now? No, absolutely not. But again, you take the contract into account, and we're going to talk about this later, where you see young quarterbacks, they need a veteran presence to guide them, right? So they draft Michael Penix Jr., and then you have Kirk Cousins in there so Penix can get in there and watch Kirk Cousins operate. I think that's a super valuable thing for their future. So I think they did a very good job as far as the Falcons go in just stabilizing the quarterback position for, a 6 to 7 year span where Penix can sit for a year. He can watch how Kirk Cousins operates. Maybe you have to get rid of Cousins after this year, eat some money, but you still have Michael Penix now being ready for the NFL. You see what he's capable of and going forward from there. But as far as Kirk Cousins goes, yeah, I don't see it right now. I don't see it with Kirk Cousins right now. He's definitely in the process of being washed. He's not officially on the clothesline like Joan was saying, but he's definitely in the process of being washed right now, and it doesn't look good for Atlanta.
Hey, everyone always wants to talk about Kirk Cousins. He's a top 10 quarterback. He's always been a top tier. Kirk Cousins is a bona fide fucking stat padder, all right? That's all the guy does. He pads his stats. Right now, he just happens to be padding them with fucking interceptions, okay? That's all he's doing right now. But, understandable, right? Like, you come off an Achilles tear, right? And you're not in football for a very long period of time. And now your clock's not where it usually is for pocket awareness. You're trying to make reads, trying to learn an offense, trying to do all these things. It's not surprising, especially when I don't think he played a single snap of preseason football, similar to how Aaron Rodgers didn't, right? And to see someone struggle, like this is writing on the wall. You did this to yourself by not getting him out there and getting him acclimated early on to see, hey, just how mobile is he? Because you know what you don't find in practice? Actual pressure. You know what they're not allowed to do in practice? Hit him, okay? So you got to find out early on what you can do with a guy who's coming off an Achilles tear. And they didn't find that, right? And their offensive scheme does not play to his strengths right now, which is, hey, I need quick reads, quick action football. Let's do short passes, get this offense rolling, get us into some play action, slow down the pass rush and let me fucking find my footing. So, granted, okay, I'm going to step back a little bit. Maybe he's not on the clothesline just yet, okay? And maybe that the Atlanta Falcons offense isn't doing him the greatest amount of favors with how they're calling this, but Kirk Cousins isn't an Atlanta Falcon come 2025. He's not.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.